There are stories that never make it into the official record books. Stories that hide between the box scores and the headlines, where the lights of the NBA arena can't quite reach. This one begins with a man known for grace and control, Steve Nash, two-time MVP, a player who turned chaos into rhythm, who saw passing lanes where others saw traffic. But behind that calm exterior, there was a storm brewing, one that had nothing to do with basketball. It was 2010. Nash was at the peak of his career with the Phoenix Suns. His life seemed perfectly ordered. Fame, success, and a young family. Then, one November morning, the birth of his third child changed everything. He announced the news with joy. A healthy baby. Another blessing. But just a few days later, something shifted. That same week, Nash released another statement. He and his wife, Alejandra, were separating. No details, no explanations, just silence. In the world of professional sports, silence breeds whispers, and whispers quickly become stories. The rumor spread like wildfire across locker rooms and message boards. People said Nash had discovered something devastating after the birth, that the child might not be his, that another player, a teammate, was involved. The name most often whispered was Jason Richardson, another Suns player, a shooting guard with explosive talent and, some said, a little too close to Nash's family. No one knew the truth. No one dared ask directly. But in a league built on chemistry and trust, even a whisper can poison the air. Soon after, Richardson was traded to Orlando. No press conference explained why. No one connected the dots officially. But fans and reporters did. They always do. Inside the team, the atmosphere reportedly changed. Smiles turned mechanical. Nash, usually the heart of every huddle, became quieter, more distant. He played with the same precision, but something behind his eyes had dimmed. And yet, he never lashed out, never confirmed, never denied. That was the strangest part. It was as if he built an invisible wall around his private life and left everyone else outside to speculate. In a sport where ego rules, where revenge often writes the headlines, Steve Nash stayed silent. He finished the season, led his team as always, and let time bury the noise. Years later, he would become a coach, a mentor, a symbol of composure. But those who remember that season know there was a fracture that statistics could never measure. Because what happens when the most self-controlled man in basketball faces something he can't control? What happens when betrayal hits not from an opponent, but from within your own circle? We may never know the truth. Maybe there was no affair at all. Maybe it was just bad timing, or coincidence, or the cruel imagination of a sports world that feeds on drama. But the shadow of that story still lingers. You can hear it when people talk about Nash, not the player, but the man who walked through something few could bear and never said a word. The man who played through heartbreak, who turned personal pain into professional silence. In the end, the truth doesn't live in the rumor or the headlines. It lives in the quiet moments between games. In the eyes of a player who kept running the offense, making the right pass, smiling just enough to convince the world he was fine. Maybe that's what greatness looks like sometimes. Not the trophies, not the MVP chants, but the ability to stay composed when your whole life feels like it's falling apart. The story of Steve Nash isn't just about basketball. It's about the cost of privacy in a world that refuses to stop watching. It's about how even the calmest waters can hide a storm beneath the surface. And it's about how, sometimes, silence says more than any press conference ever could.